Greetings people of YouTube, and today I am going to be ranking my top 10 favorite Transformers mainline figures of 2023. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I personally think last year was a pretty great year for the Transformers mainline. We got a good mix of new movie stuff with studio series and some old legacy stuff with, well, legacy. And there were just a lot of bangers. So many bangers to the point where I don't have all of them. So if you don't see certain figures on this list, it would most likely mean that I do not have those certain figures. A couple of examples would be the Studio Series Primal, Commander Class figures, and the Legacy Evo Charm. Before we start, a couple of rules I would like to lay out. Number one, these figures have to be figures that were released in the year of 2023. So figures that I bought in 2023 but did not release in 2023 would not count. So sadly, this guy will be omitted from the list. I'm sorry, my love. Rule number two, re-releases such as Tarantulas and Dirge won't qualify. I'm so sorry. And finally, rule number three, repaints and retools are allowed. Alright, then without any further ado, why don't we just get into my list of my top 10 personal favorite Transformers mainline figures of 2023. Number 10! Starting off real controversial here, but I gotta be honest with myself, I really like this figure, that being the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Megatron. I understand a lot of the criticisms that people have against this thing, but I just had a lot of fun with it. Not to mention, I am just a big fan of this character in general. But other than the character itself, the figure is fun to pose, it's good to look at, it's solid to play with. Least favorite thing about it is the paint and of course the not so fun transformation. But the resulting alt mode from that transformation is actually not that bad, and I am willing to go through that annoying transformation to get to that alt mode, and yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites from this year. Number 9. This is a figure that surprised the heck out of me, but at number 9, here we have the Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Cheetah. I gotta admit, I did not like this design at all at first, but you know, after knowing that this is probably based on the Transmetals 2 design and maybe even the Beast Machines, do not talk about that. This figure is just so fun to mess around with. The articulation on this figure is so much. Spear accessory is awesome, and the cheetah mode that he turns into is also awesome. Transformation is a bit bland and the colors are really muted, but other than that, yeah, really good figure. I'm glad to have it, and I'm glad to put it in my top 10 list. Another figure that I did not expect to like so much is the Transformers Studio Series 86 Braa figure. Hands down one of my favorite transformations that I've gone through. This figure is so well engineered, so solid, and the colors just pop to me. I love his color combinations. Couple that with the fact that I actually really like this guy in the G1 cartoon, really solidifies just, you know, really solid as one of my favorite deluxe class figures of last year. Number 7! Probably the most disappointing figure that I got this year, but doesn't mean it's bad. Here we have the Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Rhinox figure. I'm slightly disappointed because the posability on this guy is not that great. Other than the posability, this thing is just an absolute home run through and through. Fantastic sculpt work, pretty good paint, and a fun to go through transformation resulting in a fantastic Rhino mode. My gosh, this thing is just dead onto the film. Again, articulation could have been better, but other than that, yeah, this guy is great. What was it? This is a figure that I hold near and dear to my heart due to it being one of my most popular reviews ever, that being the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Deluxe Class Bumblebee. So fun to mess around with. I can play with this figure as much as I want and it will withstand it just fine. Great transformation, great alt mode, and it also does have improvements over previous Studio Series Bumblebee, so that's pretty cool. The only reason why he's not higher is that he's not that movie accurate, I mean with these stories and the lack of double cannons. But really, as a toy to play with, this thing is really fun. Number 5. But that was not my favorite deluxe class of the year. That honor would go to the Transformers Legacy Evolution Beachcomr. Hey, but I thought you said DEFCON was your favorite. Opinions can change. I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. It's just that ever since I saw the G1 cartoon, I've come to appreciate this character a lot more, and the figure all around is just so solid. It's one that you really have to feel to believe. It's so good. Transformation is really fun. The alt mode is unique and it's just great in general. Some neat tricks here. We got the extending torso jump, which of course is cool. The potential backpack is stored away really neatly. Yeah, Beachcomr, really good figure. Number 4! Retaining his title of being my favorite Rise of the Beasts figure, here we have the Transformers Studio Series Battletrap. Where do I even begin with this figure? It's super movie accurate, the articulation is fantastic, the transformation is fun and complex. It's also like the first Transformer I ever reviewed, and it holds a special place in my heart for that. But honestly, bias aside, I do think this figure is just top notch. I mean, just look at it. The amount of sculpted details, the paint is not that bad. Personally, from my experience, if you have to buy a single Rise of the Beasts figure, it would have to be Battletrap. Number 3. For the best part of the year, this figure has retained its title as being my favorite, but it got bumped on a few notches, that being the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Optimus Prime. My is this figure an absolute badass. This axe alone is honestly just enough to make him on this list. What else can I really say at this point? Great articulation, fun transformation, decent alt mode. I'm not the biggest fan of it, mostly because of that back problem, but it's just so fun to pose, and there are so many display options, and it comes with a freaking matrix. Look at that, that's so cool. Not like you can hold it or anything, but it's not a big deal. Oh yeah, Optimus Prime, super worthy of being in my top 3 figures of the year. Number 2! I did that Grimlock impression for a reason, because at number 2 is his pal, the Transformers Studio Series 86 Snarl. It's one of my few leader class figures, and I am just so blown away with the amount of details, the solid joints, the fun articulation. This freaking sword, man, it's so cool. Transformation is also one of the most fun, leading to one of my favorite alt modes ever. But to be fair, I'm kind of a dinosaur freak, so yeah, that's why I love the alt mode so much, and that's why I love this figure so much. But what could be better than dinosaurs, you may ask? I should terribly do a Snarl impression. Doesn't sound like Snarl. Well, before I reveal my number 1 spot, I would like to give a couple of honorable mentions. Axel, Grease, and Defcon, really cool and solid figures for what they are. Core Class Freezer, I really didn't expect to have this much fun with this little figure. And finally, the Legacy Evolution Shrapnel, because I like Shrapnel. And finally, the pièce de la résistance of this year for me, number 1! It's a figure that I've been clamoring for since the beginning of the year. It's not technically the same figure, but it's a retool, so it kind of counts. That being the Transformers Legacy Evolution Bludgeon. As I've said in that review, I've wanted to Tarn mold since the beginning of the year, and I just couldn't get it. We'll see about that knockoff elemental school. But for now, this figure absolutely fills that void for me. If not even better, like, he comes with a sword. This is hands down so far one of my favorite, if not actually my favorite Transformers figure to pose. Super dynamic, so articulated. I'm just speechless when I first got him. I literally could not put this thing down. It's that fun to me. Sure, he could have been more retooled to look more like Bludgeon, but with this much posability, oh, I think that is an absolutely worthy sacrifice. And like the display options too, you can put this cannon in his back and his arm. Non-stop fun with this figure for me. He absolutely had to be my number 1 favorite Transformers mainline figure of 2023. And that concludes my 10 favorite Transformers mainline figures in the year of 2023. What are your thoughts on these figures? What are your thoughts on my list in particular? If you have any to share, please do so in the comments below. Maybe if you guys have your own top 10 list, I can read it down below and give it a heart if I read it. Heck yeah, I'll read it. Once again, 2023 has been a great year for me, great year for this toy line in general. Super grateful to have been here on YouTube. It really is a wonderful experience. And hopefully I'll be continuing sharp in 2024, which will start when I take my eventual look at this guy. I'll see you guys next time.